Apologies. We had a little technical glitch this morning, so we weren't able to get things out at 8:30. And the technical glitch was this is that I forgot to bring my computer to work. So anyhow, the technical glitch has now been remedied and wanted to make sure we streamed because I think it's an important message to share this morning, which is the idea of what kills religion. We're living in a time where church, if you look at it as an industry per se, really struggling, and a lot of those struggles are hard. New Church Live, we face a lot of the same headwinds. It's just a challenging time for churches as we get used to new environments, new culture, all kinds of different things. And so as I'm sharing this today, this isn't about like how to make sure your particular church doesn't have to close up shop per se, but it's just to come back to a first things first about what really matters with church, and what, regardless of what the metrics might look like, what we need to always remember. And this is not something, in terms of what we're going to share today, this is not something to project out there onto others. This is something for us to think, oh yeah, what does this have to do about myself, about my own life, my spiritual life, my community, as well as, if you are involved with church, with the church you might be part of. So thank you for joining me. Let's go ahead and get started. So the part of the story here, we're continuing on with Noah and the ark. Noah has three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And we can look at those three sons as all representing or picturing different elements of our faith life. And the one son who's a ne'er-do-well is by the name of Ham. And we're going to take a look at him in some depth. He kind of becomes the main leader of the plot line here for this particular part of the biblical narrative. And if you think of Ham, we're asked to sort of picture Ham as what corrupted religion really looks like. Now, corrupted religion, what's fascinating about it from a Christian New Church perspective is that corrupted religion looks great on the outside. They have a life of worship, they have the truth. By all appearances, they have it all. What they don't have is loving kindness. That's so critical. They have separated. They've taken this life of faith, and they've taken loving kindness. And instead of seeing loving kindness as being what builds and holds up and really becomes the soul of the life of faith, they have separated that out. So loving kindness is put to the side, and it becomes just about faith and faith alone. Now, what's interesting from a Christian New Church perspective is, Swinburne posited that it's something to consider, that's actually the biggest danger to religion right there. When we have this loving kindness, when we sort of push it way off to the side and we just stick by pure truth, he said that is a dangerous place for religions to be. And he said that will corrupt them, that will kill them, that will be the end of them when they start to do that. That's pretty stark. It's interesting. I remember a few years ago thinking, one of the things that doesn't get mentioned is atheism. That atheism being this huge, immense challenge, which is kind of interesting. Now, obviously, atheism is a challenge to faith, but the primary challenge is actually when we weaponize faith. That's the primary thing that will kill religion, when faith becomes weaponized. And boy, we have to be so super, super careful about that. And this is a warning that it's just a constant drumbeat in Christian New Church theology. Constant drumbeat, constant drumbeat, constant drumbeat. And it goes back to the narrative with Jesus, and Jesus constantly taking on the religious authorities of the time, who had the truth, who were doing it quote unquote right, but who, again, loving kindness had completely gone by the wayside. And we can see that in many faiths, in many religions, how prone we can be to that. So it's an interesting perspective, and one of the things that came to mind this morning was a quote by Shane Claiborne. Shane Claiborne is an evangelical Christian who's a new monastic down in Philadelphia. He's actually spoken at New Church Live. Wonderful, wonderful human being. He's done a lot of great work down there, and he's an interesting person. One of the things he said that I thought was really interesting is that if a religion isn't kind, it's no longer true. And I think that is what Emanuel Swedenborg would say. Yep, that's very accurate. Because if kindness isn't part of the equation, we're definitely missing out on something. And the good news of this, folks, like the good news in this is is that, man, it just is this call again and again. This is a consistent drumbeat, and we're going to hear this millions of times. And I think it's because we forget it a million times. That loving kindness really is the it's the sort of the secret, whatever, the secret sauce. It's what we need to bring to all things, including our life of faith. And and we just need to be aware. And again, this is more speaking from a personal standpoint, that yeah, that's what we need to make sure. I'm just thinking as a pastor of a beautiful, wonderful church filled with wonderful people, and that's sort of what we need to all keep on remembering. And I feel like I'm blessed to be in a congregation that does a lot of that stuff. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee success as a church, or that you'll be a 5,000 person church or whatever. It doesn't guarantee that at all. But what it guarantees is that you're going to stay on mission. It guarantees that you're going to be doing what the church was supposed to be doing, which is this loving kindness, not a I love this line, not a museum for saints, but a hospital for sinners. That's not my quote. Not sure who did it, but I've heard it many times, and I love that idea. It's not a museum for saints, it's a hospital for sinners. That's for sure. And I think, again, that's why Jesus, so many times when he uses examples of what heaven is like, he doesn't use a courtroom scene. He consistently uses a wedding banquet. Like, how good is that? How fun is that? So, friends, that's my thought for today. I hope that makes some sense. I hope that adds a little breath to your day. And my apologies again for being late on this morning. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go and we're going to have just a time to just have a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to anyone who happens to be hopping on social media here. Let me see, about half an hour later than we normally do, than we always do here at New Church Live with our 10 minutes of morning calm. But maybe we have some people who've tuned in late. We shall see. So, friends, let's do a little meditation here. So I'd ask you to get a breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends, let's do a little cheery hello here to folks. Okay. There we go. Oh, we did have some comments. Well, that's kind of nice. All right. Linda writes, good morning. Marcus, good morning to you, buddy. Linda writes, this whole issue of weaponizing religion is a challenge I've come up against with my brother. I think it's so sad that he doesn't realize his dogmatic approach is pushing his family away. All I can do is pray and back away with love. And that is really true, Linda. Because it's just, man, boy, and it's just, as a pastor, it's hard to be around watching faith be weaponized, because it just isn't Jesus's way. And I think that's why Jesus is so clear about, like, the breadth of the people that he deals with. And the one group he consistently says, like, be careful, you're not getting it, are the clergy, which is always talk about a little humble pie. right there. You read that enough, it'll definitely makes me humble as a pastor to remember those bigger pieces. Gene writes, "Good morning. Glad you were late. I was too taking the grants to school." Well, I'm glad it worked for you for us to be late today. All right. Hopping over to my page. I'm surprised you this many comments this late, but thank you folks for commenting. Really enjoy that. Teresa, my Pocono friend, great to see you joining us as well. Frank, good to see you, buddy, and hope you're doing well. Jen, great to see you. Another Pocono Mountain student hopping on. Wonderful to see you joining us. Dave, my friend, good to see you, buddy, and I hope you're doing quite well. Uh, um, Patricia, great to see you joining us with that heart. Dave writes, awesome direction, and brother, and it is kind of fun to think about. And boy, there's what was that movie? The Incredible Lightness of Being. I don't know whether the movie was that good. I'm not a big movie guy, but I think with that loving kindness, there can be a real lightness of being with that can mean a lot in our lives. So, friends, thank you so much for joining me. Again, I'm sorry for the delay and the goof ups, but we managed to get something out there. So, regardless of what time you're joining us or where you're joining us from, thank you for being part of New Church Live, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.